Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, the Criterion Collection has released its first title of the year on 4K Ultra HD. So a new 4K Ultra HD release of a film from Terry Gilliam, 1988, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. This is the 1988 film from director Terry Gilliam, and it comes in at spine number 1166 in the Criterion Collection. Now, Terry Gilliam has a number of films in the Criterion Collection, including Jabberwocky from 1977. This is spine number 903 in the collection. You've got Brazil, which came out in 1985, a few years before The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Excellent release from Criterion, spine 51 in the collection. And the film starring Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges, The Fisher King from 1991. This is spine 764 in the Criterion Collection. The other film that I have in my collection from Terry Gilliam is an Arrow Video release, a new 4K release of this absolutely fantastic film starring Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, and Brad Pitt, and it is 12 Monkeys. This is an amazing film. Great film. So I've got a number of films in my collection, a few films from director Terry Gilliam. Of course, he's a British filmmaker. He was born in the United States, but became a British citizen, renounced his U.S. citizenship. He used to be part of the Monty Python's comedy troupe back in the day, went on to make several films. He's directed 13 feature films, including these films and including the 1988 film, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. This is a brand spanking new Criterion Collection 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray combo pack. And I'm going to take just a few minutes here to talk about what I think about the movie, what I think about the video and audio quality, the presentation, as well as the supplemental package, which is pretty substantial in this release from Criterion. So let's go ahead and jump into it right now. So as far as the film, this film is based upon a collection of fables and stories around Baron Munchausen, who is based on a real life character that was real life person who was born in the 1720s, I believe in Germany, who was named Munchausen, who had all these exaggerated, fantastical stories that he would tell. And someone collected these stories, wrote about these stories, and these stories became sort of legend. And Terry Gilliam and his creative team put together these stories and basically took the legend of Baron Munchausen and put together this fantastical tale that is called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. It's an over-the-top fantasy type tale that takes place in the 18th century during the Age of Reason, as they call it. And it's basically his exploits conquering the Ottoman Empire. So it is a over-the-top visual spectacle that you are seeing on screen when you're watching this movie. And it's definitely a lot to take in from a visual effects standpoint. And that's one of the things I really appreciate about this release is that there are some features on here that talk about how they put this film together. So how they originally storyboarded it, how they came up with the ideas, how they wrote this film, and then ultimately how the special effects came together to create what you're seeing on this film. So absolutely fantastic film. I enjoyed the film. I don't consider this to be a film that I absolutely love, but it is a film that I enjoyed watching. And I think if you're a fan of Terry Gilliam's work, if you're a huge fan of director Terry Gilliam's work, you're going to enjoy The Adventures of Baron Munchausen because it covers that very similar ground that Terry Gilliam covers, which is the surreal, the fantastical. A lot of his films seem to take place in a surreal or otherworldly type place. And this is one of those films, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. So examples of that, of course, is this Dark Ages film, Jabberwocky, which takes place in England in the Dark Ages. So you're sort of transported to that world. Brazil is like a dystopian, futuristic type tale that, is sort of retro looking, but also futuristic. It's a very interesting, look and motif to this film. The Fisher King takes place in New York City, but it's a fantasy tale in New York City. And of course, 12 Monkeys is a futuristic time travel extravaganza. It has a very unique visual style to it in the way that it was shot and the way it's presented. So Terry Gilliam's films are definitely films that are grounded in the surreal, in the fantastical, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen is just another example of that. So let me take a moment to read the back of the Criterion case here to let you hear what their description of this film is. So it says, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, the boundless imagination of Terry Gilliam yields a dazzling fantasy of epic proportions. Inspired by the extravagant exploits of the fabled Baron Munchausen, this spectacle, born of a famously turbulent production, follows the whimsical 18th century nobleman, played by John Neville, as he embarks on an outlandish quest that takes him from faraway lands to the moon, to the belly of a sea monster and beyond, meanwhile waging war or battle against a vengeful sultan and the tyranny of logic. Packed frame to frame with special effects, mischievous wit, and colorful performances, including a young Sarah Polley as the Baron's no-nonsense sidekick, the Oscar-nominated The Adventures of Baron Munchausen is a lavish celebration of the triumph of make-believe over reality. So, great description of this incredible film. And if you open up this case, you'll see here, you get 3 discs in this case. You get of course, the 4K Ultra HD here. You get the first Blu-ray, and the 4K Ultra HD and the Blu-ray include the film and the commentary. And then on this second Blu-ray, you get the special features, which is nice. This is the insert that's included, which is very nice. And I'll get into that for a second. Now, as far as the 4K picture and audio, great presentation all the way around. I mean, the 4K picture, you get 4K Ultra HD. You get a 4K digital restoration approved by Terry Gilliam, and you get Dolby Vision HDR on this disc. And I have to say, the picture looked really nice. I watched it on my new television that we have on our main level, new 4K TV, and it has the Dolby Vision enabled, and it looked really nice. The detail is very nice on this film. This film has a very organic appearance to it, right? It's set in the 18th century, so you really feel like you're watching a film that's very true to that feel of a period piece like that. And so it's not the most absolute 100% tack sharp presentation that you would expect from a modern film shot digitally, but it is a very beautiful presentation with great detail. The colors look fine on this presentation. It has that Dolby Vision, but that Dolby Vision doesn't really make the colors, pop. Even though this is a colorful film, it represents the colors very well, but the colors don't just blow up off the screen, so to speak. But overall, I think the presentation's sharp, looks really clean. It is a fantastic presentation all the way around. Even in the darker scenes, you get the sense that you're able to see some pretty nice detail, and there's nice, separation of the characters in the foreground from the background. And it's just a beautiful looking 4K image overall. So I was very pleased with the 4K image. I thought it looked just fine. I thought, I didn't really see much in the way of it didn't appear to be overly soft. It appeared to be very nicely detailed. Everything seemed to be, realized very well in the way that the imagery was presented. So I thought this 4K image looked very, very nice. Now you also get, from an audio standpoint, a 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. Now I listened to this on our TV on the main level, so I didn't listen to it in our surround system that I have in my media room. But based on the sound from the TV itself, it sounded just fine. I was able to hear, the dialogue really well, was able to hear all the sound effects across the soundscape very well. I think it was produced very nicely from that standpoint, but I would imagine that sound would be even more appreciated listening to it on a surround system. But overall, I was very pleased with the sound that I was hearing coming out of the TV audio. But the presentation from a video and audio standpoint, very strong. Certainly have no complaints to say about it, but I think it looks excellent. And if you're a fan of this film, you're going to be very pleased with the way that this film looks and sounds on this new 4K Ultra HD disc from the Criterion Collection. Now, as far as the special features on this disc, on the Blu-ray that is included on this disc, pretty nice set of special features. Now, on the 4K disc and on Blu-ray disc 1, you get the film and you get an audio commentary, and that audio commentary features Gilliam and the co-screenwriter Charles McEwen. So they both co-wrote this movie, and you get an excellent commentary from the two of them on the Blu-ray disc 1 and the 4K Ultra HD. Then on this second Blu-ray disc that is included here, the red disc here, is where you get a bunch of other special features, which are all excellent. You get a nice documentary on the making of the film, really nice documentary that I think says a lot about how this film was made and the story behind the production of this film, how they conceived the story, and just working with the studio to make it happen. Dealing with, budgetary constraints is one of the things that they dealt with in terms of, you do see one of the features talks about some of the deleted scenes or the scenes that are not included in the final cut. And so you have Terry Gilliam and Charles McEwen sitting there thinking, wow, it would have been nice if we could have included that, but because of the budget, we couldn't, include everything that we had storyboarded. So I thought that was interesting. So that's a really nice documentary, nice video essay by David Cairns about the history of the Baron Munchausen character. You have some behind the scenes footage of the film's special effects, which is really nice to see how they did the blue screen and green screen work in making this film. Excellent, excellent work. One of those behind the scenes was seeing some footage of Robin Williams, who is uncredited in this film, but he plays a pretty big role for an uncredited character. But, you see some footage of him going through some of the takes that they did. And that was really, really fascinating. And they talked about how, they made a joke about how Robin Williams had just been nominated for an Oscar. And here we are shooting this scene where we're throwing tomatoes at him. So I thought that was interesting. But, you also have, of course, more deleted scenes with commentary by Gilliam, storyboards of unfilmed scenes that I mentioned before. You also have some really interesting materials in here around the marketing that went into this film and the surveys that they took and the types of responses they got back from people, the feedback, which is really funny hearing Gilliam, read about that. And so some of these features are more archival features. Some of these are new features shot for this edition. So overall, you get a really nice addition from the Criterion Collection in terms of supplements. You also have on here Miracle of Flight, which is a 1974 animated film that Gilliam did on the history of flight. So overall, you get some really nice special features in this edition from Criterion. You also get this insert, which is very nice, which includes A Reason to Believe by Michael Koreski, which is an excellent, excellent essay. And you also hear about the restoration. So let me just read the restoration here. It says, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen is presented in its original aspect ratio of 1.85:1. It was restored in 4K resolution by Sony Pictures Entertainment. The 4K wet gate scan of the 35mm original camera negative was done by Cineric. So 4K scan of the 35mm original camera negative. You have color grading in HDR. And you have 5.1 surround soundtrack. On the 4K disc, the feature is presented in Dolby Vision HDR. So some really nice technical specs that went into this. But like I said before, the picture looks fantastic, looks really beautiful, organic, beautifully reproduced or restored and reproduced for this 4K image. And it looks fantastic. It's a 4K scan of the original camera negative, which you always love to see a scan of the OCN, the original camera negative. You're going to get the best results usually by doing that. Scan of the original negative and beautifully restored and put on a 4K disc with some nice color grading in Dolby Vision HDR. And I think the results are very nice. The special features are pretty extensive. And this makes for a very nice release from the Criterion Collection. Great start to the year of 2023. And I can definitely recommend this title. Now, I would say I would recommend this definitely for one of the upcoming 50% off sales. So whether it's a flash sale or the upcoming July sale or November sale, definitely take advantage of picking this up at that 50% off price. If you're a fan of Terry Gilliam films, this is an absolute no-brainer. If you like that type of a fantastical, over-the-top adventure, you're really going to enjoy The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. So it definitely comes recommended, especially for Terry Gilliam fans, and specifically if you happen to be a fan of this movie. Definitely recommend it. You're going to enjoy this new 4K Ultra HD release. So there you have it. That's my review of The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, the new Criterion Collection 4K for the first release of 2023. Let me know in the comments section below if you've seen this film from Terry Gilliam, and also let me know, what are your favorite films from Terry Gilliam? Is this one of your favorite films from Terry Gilliam? Is it 12 Monkeys? Is it Brazil? Is it The Fisher King? What other film would you name to be your favorite film from Terry Gilliam? Let me know that in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.